these are all mostly your original tunes, is that right? I missed the beginning.
Yeah, it's all my music.
Well, it's beautiful.
Interpreted by the group, yeah.
Yeah, it's beautiful. I noticed like there's a huge difference in like feels and kind of moods and emotions, and it's really wonderful. And I wonder, like, in your compositional process, how often, like, I guess what kind of like starts a lot of your prompts? Like, do you start with like, is it just like simply a melodic idea, or do you start with like a mood or a story to tell, or is it always different, or like, can you talk a bit about that? Like,
Sure. Yeah. For me, it's rarely a story, or it's usually an emotion, and it starts with an emotion, and then it's a work, right? Because you need to make that. It's not enough to feel a certain emotion, but you need to portray that in music and have a structure, and there's all that intellectual stuff that is part of it. But I feel like I think the music is very emotional. I think it comes through, and as for the variety of styles, what we play now is some of the tunes are as old as say
your kids.
As my kids, so yeah, exactly. So like we're talking about 10 years, and some of the tunes were just recently written. So yeah, I think something that I noticed in my development, my process, is that in the last few years I'm less serious. I used to be like a more classically trained, very serious musician, and now this time it keeps changing, right? But I like the light feeling and the fun part of music playing. It's not always about playing the right notes and being. I have that side, but right now I enjoy just to have fun. And these guys are great to have fun with.
Wondering, like that first piece in the odd meter,
yeah.
how do you go about working on just getting to the point where the lines you're playing aren't so stuck to the meter? Like, I find when I play odd meter, it's very much like hammering down like where the beat is.
Right.
But you have a lot of flowing, like eighth note lines that go across the bar line.
Yeah.
How do you get more comfortable
it's a practice thing, and I've been playing odd meters since I'm 18, or even before. I was very, attracted to this, and also coming from the Middle East. Originally, we have a lot of odd meters there, so it's a lot of practice getting comfortable with that. But for instance, in the first piece, like it's what is it, 9. So even the melody, doesn't go on the 1. Yeah, it's a 1 2 3 1 2 1 2 1 2 1 2 3 1 2 1. Yeah, so instead of doing this, like choppy, right? So I introduce the melody a bit differently. One way of introducing some flexibility in this. Otherwise, yeah, it can sound like really choppy and not flowing.
Can I jump in for a second?
Yeah.
That's something I found a real challenge, is soloing over odd meters. And one thing I found was helpful is to just take a rhythmic idea, even if it's really simple, and just practice soloing with that. Like, it might literally just be like a little cell of 3 notes, and it's not going to sound real musical, but just to get comfortable with where the meter is and where the chords are changing. And then once you get that, then just add to complexity, maybe a 5-note cell or 4-note or something that's maybe starting with like just quarters and eighths, and then add 16th, just like bit by bit. Like, rather than jumping in and, I'm going to play this, beautiful complex solo in 7/8, you're always going to be frustrated, right? So you just I found that was a really helpful thing, is just to do it bit by bit and start adding complexity to your rhythmical ideas until you're more comfortable with the meter, and eventually it's just going to feel natural.
If you
you go to the symphony, you'll see that all the basses, at least in North America, we always have a C on the bottom because the bass, double bass means doubling the cello part an octave lower. The bottom string on a cello is a C, they're tuned in fifths. So bass players have all kinds of inventions depending what country you're in to how to get that C. A lot of players are tuning in fifths now, so the bottom string is now a C, the open string. There's also, I could go on and on. Some players have these saxophone keys up here, and there's a key system right here. There's two kinds that go this way and then they go the other way for the notes. So there's two different saxophone systems. This is what's called a fingered extension. And I actually made this one. It was originally made for me and then I redid it. But you just close the notes, so I can close the C sharp, the D there, and then the E flat here. It's tricky though, like I play in Vancouver Opera and we've played some Richard Strauss, and they're written for 5-string bass. In Germany they have a low string, an H string below the E, so a B below the E, and they can finger everything. So we had licks that were like, you know, and people were bleeding and stuff. So the advantage to are you a bass player?
This is my second instrument.
So the advantage to this this kind of fingered extension is you can vibrate where you can't on the keyed extension. So I recommend bass players try tuning in fifths for a while. If you have another bass laying around, or you can borrow one, put it in fifths and see where that's at. That's sort of the coming wave with bass playing, I think, is a lot more players are going to be in fifths in the future because of a guy named Joel Quarrington and Red Mitchell, who initially tuned in fifths. I think that's the new wave. So it's something worth checking out. I'm too old. But that's one way to get the C.
I'm curious as to what tuning you were in on the guitar.
Mostly regular tuning, and one piece was drop key.
Okay.
How do you get those out of tune notes,
Yeah.
Itamar?
Why you?
How come there's out of tune
Why
notes?
do you play out of tune?
Yeah, I played one show, and I tune the guitar a lot, and then I play the quarter tones because it's quarter tones on my guitar. And then after the show, someone asked me, so you tune the guitar a lot, but then you still play some notes out of tune. So I have some added frets here. And you need to know a little bit of the Arabic or Persian or Turkish scales, but you can use it instead of, let's say, if I'm doing a D minor scale, natural, I can use the second degree. I can lower it in a quarter. So it's on the guitar. It's actually exactly middle point between F and D. It's right there in the center. So you know that we have like if I'm going D, E, and F. E is like a leading note because it has only half a tone to go up. So it really wants to go there to resolve, right? If I'm going down, I'm going F, E flat, D. So the E flat is just half a step from D. So it really wants to resolve there. You understand what I'm saying? It really wants to, right? So the quarter is it can go either way because it's right in the middle. It's
how you got those influences. Was it through teachers? Was it through playing with musicians who were playing that music? Was it through listening and studying scores? And maybe could you talk about like some of the experiences where you were picking up a new style and
Okay.
sort of what you got out of studying a different
Yeah, so I started playing piano, and I took guitar late when I was 15. And at home, my father, he was a pilot, and at that time you couldn't find records so much in Israel where I lived. So he would bring records, world music records, jazz, classical. So we would listen a lot to Indian music, John Coltrane, Stravinsky, the Beatles, Pink Floyd, all that stuff, right? So you know, from an early age, I had that, and then you know, and then you know, life pulled me to a little bit more to the classical tradition, and as composer, and then I left that, and then I kept discovering things and playing with players all over the world from different backgrounds. And you know, I played with this gypsy guitarist, and I went to Spain to study a bit of flamenco guitar, and you know, now I'm really excited about stride piano, and I just you know, I just keep studying all the time, keep trying to learn and stuff like that. So yeah, so I was born in Israel. Is also it's a multicultural place. You have people from Europe, from Arab countries. So you know, there isn't really an Israeli music. It's you know, it's kind of a world thing. And I played a lot throughout Europe, and you know, I was in India, and I played all over. So met a lot of musicians. And
I've got a question about just some of the more rhythmically complex lines in your songs. Do you usually start with a rhythm or with a melody and just kind of fill in the rhythm later?
so yeah, there's one example of a tune. It's called Anouar, and it's basically I just followed the melody and where it wanted to go. So I ended up with a long melody with no bar lines at all. Because, you know, I just followed what the melody wanted to do, right? And then I started putting the measures, and what I got is like all over the place. You have, you know, if you look at it, you know, so there's 5, 3, 9, 11. You know, every bar is something completely different. Because my approach was follow the melody, where the melody wants to go. And sometimes you know, sometimes like the first piece, you know, I wanted to really get the 9, so I stayed the whole thing in 9. I didn't move around. So
should we play just a little bit of that?
Yeah, yeah, sure.
Can I jump in before we do? There's one more thing that, when you ask about the odd meter, that is kind of a revelation for me lately. When we play this stuff, most of it is melody. We aren't counting. I'm not counting. Yeah, we're not counting. And I read an article by a friend of mine, a bass player in Toronto named Rich Brown, who you can check out, great electric bass player. And he said when he was playing with Steve Coleman, everybody wondered, how can you play in 5 and 7 and 9 and wheels within wheels? And it turned out they had all memorized a master melody that they never played. So you're alluding to this familiar melody, and everything you've done is to practice over that melody, and then it gets easier to hear in the time signature. So that's one thing to think about when you're doing that, is maybe write a composition with a through melody like Anouar's song that we're going to play, and then you can build on that.
When Itamar emailed me this chart, I almost quit the group.
You have to talk him down.
I had the email written, I just didn't press send.
So you know, that's one extreme idea. You know, just taking it wherever the melody wants to go. I don't care about 5 or 11. It doesn't matter. The melody has to be right in my ears. And the other approach, another approach, where I have also a 6/8 tune where it remains in 6/8 all the time, but I find ways to accentuate different places in the bar. I think it's one of the most difficult pieces that we are playing.
Why'd you look at us when you said that?
hard for me. It's
you have a very, I guess somewhat unique perspective, since you're quite virtuosic on both guitar and piano, and it's incredible to hear you play both. I guess could you talk a bit about reasons why you prefer one or the other, like versus like for different styles of songs or whatever, and also like the challenges you find approaching both of them, since
great
you're such a.
As I said, I started with the piano when I was like 7. And I played until I was 12, and then I wanted to be a regular kid because I practiced a lot, and actually the whole family started piano together at the same time. And after 3 months, everyone just they stopped because they looked my progress. I was progressing very quickly. So everyone quit, like my sister, my parents, and I kept playing, and it took over my life, I could say, and I wanted just to hang out with my friends when I was 12, so I quit piano. And then very early, actually, I was 15, and I suddenly it struck me that music is my calling, and it was like a feeling of what did I do? This is what did I do? How did I stop playing, right? So I took the guitar when I was 15 and went back to the piano slowly, but the feeling was like, oh my God, I lost the train, right? I'm never going to be good enough. I'm like that. So with that, I had a drive of practicing a lot, and really, I even quit school and my parents supported me in that. And I quit school when I was 17, and I just played the whole day. And so I always was juggling between the two instruments, and then when I was like 25, I decided to quit guitar. You see, I'm a very extreme guy. I left the guitar at home. I went to study composition. I left the guitar. I didn't play it for like 8 years, 7-8 years. I completely, I wrote classical, crazy atonal music until it no longer I liked it anymore. And one day I saw a guitar in someone's room, and I played the E major chord. And so beautiful, so simple. Like, why so? And it's supposed to be so complicated, right? As a composer, sometimes you write for yourself and maybe for other people because the music is so complex, and there are few. And suddenly I realized actually music is not only for my own enjoyment. It's I'd like to make the music beautiful and that people enjoy it. I want to share it, right? So that was that was a process I was going through, and I love both instruments. The guitar is very challenging for me. I need to keep practicing it, even if I don't play for 2-3 days. I really feel it, and I feel shitty.
Yeah.
Sorry. Piano is a bit easier for me. I don't consider myself as a good player in both instruments, but piano somehow is easier for me. I can sit on the piano even if I didn't play for 2 weeks, and I can sound okay. So
let's give these guys a warm thank you.